a lot of liberal-leaning women, especially who are feminist-leaning, often state that I think it should be this way, or this person's oppressed, and I'm going to college for it, and I've been in college for 8 years, and I've learned all this, and I've taken all these classes, but then you don't state anything. It's just all opinions.
Well, I'm stating actual studies. I mean, of course, I guess it's a terrible example if I don't remember the actual case study, but
there's no reasoning why. It's just, oh, this person this one day got oppressed by this person, but a man had a similar scenario happen, but that wasn't oppression. That was just a mere coincidence that day.
To back up Malik's point here, and let me mansplain a little bit. It's good for Malik to hear this. So, even if the study is true, whatever it is that you're referencing, and that there was a similar set of qualifications between a male and a female, and pictures shown to a class, and the class thought that the woman was a boss bitch and the man was sophisticated, or some variation thereof, that still wouldn't actually indicate that women were oppressed. That would just be a moderate sociological study of which you still could not draw any apt conclusions of oppression from such a study.
Well, I think there's a general opinion based off of that it's like, it's harder for women to get promoted, for example, because their initiative,
so what
their
Malik
action.
just said is right then. An opinion.
Based off the psychological.
Not anything which is really tangible nor scientifically demonstrated, but an opinion. So what Malik is saying, because she deals with Twitch lunatics all the time, she knows this as well as any of us do, which is that oftentimes people will characterize sociological studies as being backups for their opinion. They've never even read the studies, they don't know anything about the studies, and then they cite them as some form of evidence for their opinion. And so the distinction here that I'm looking for is I want to determine if this is just your opinion, or if you think that there's any actual scientific validity to the fact that in a sociological study that there was a variance of opinions given, and that means we can draw some kind of conclusion from that.
How do you scientifically prove?
Can I?
Sure.
Wait. Just finish your...
Oppression?
Yeah, oppression.
Okay. Great. So I'm part Persian. I'm Middle Eastern. Okay. In Iran, women will get arrested, killed, attacked, beat just for showing their hair. To me, that is oppression.
That's not scientific evidence of oppression. The scientific evidence,
that's factual evidence.
Yeah. It's factual.
You don't need to have any scientific study. If a woman shows her hair in public in Iran, there's a high probability that a violent hate crime is going to be committed against her just for showing her hair, because in Iran and the Middle East specifically, there's a lot of oppression against women, and women are not treated.
Well, but hang on, Malik. Nobody went there with a clipboard and a pen and determined scientifically whether or not beating the shit out of a woman was oppression or not, Malik. So you calm down.
It's a statistic,
You're
yes.
out of control again.
It's not a statistic, it's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a statistic.
You don't need science, you don't need
it's a
statistics.
fact. It happens.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, it's a fact. It's facts that add into statistics.
But you don't need to do any scientific study to know that if you go to the Middle East, you may not even live a day just dressed how you are right now. In America, you can walk to a bar alone at night, get drunk, and get home safe. Yes, that's not the safest thing to do, but even the fact that you have the capability of doing that shows that women are free and not oppressed. And you can get jobs. You want to be a full-time worker your entire life, work a 9 to 5. You're going to college, you're studying. There's some countries that still women don't even have those rights fully, where they can get an education and work. Yeah. They're just forced to live a life that they just have to, or they're dead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've never said women are not oppressed everywhere else in the world. I just think there's examples and cases of oppression here.
To me, that's what oppression is. In America, women do not face any of that.
I don't, it's a little extreme to say any of that. There are cases.
There are outliers, but generally, the laws in the United States of America do not allow women to be oppressed.
Yeah,
here's
also,
a question.
On top of that, if you're going to point to outliers, then each outlier you can point to, I can point to a similar outlier for why men are oppressed inside of this great country as well. So anytime you decide to indicate one of these outliers, I'm happy to match you one for one for why it is that men can go in.
Do you think men are oppressed?
Wonderful qualifications that they have, and due to some type of, I don't know, California statute that says you have to have X amount of women who are CEOs in your fucking companies, that suddenly these men get outplaced by these women. That sounds like a lot of fucking oppression to me, I gotta tell you.
Do you think men are oppressed?
I think they can. I think anyone can really be oppressed.
Then you're destroying the meaning of the word. If anyone can be oppressed, then no one's oppressed.
I think it goes
No,
case
if
by case.
anyone can be oppressed, then there's no oppression.
Cook, Malik.
That's right now. This
It's
whole,
the
this whole thing is
non-partisan.
oppressive.
You're contradicting
out.
almost every statement you make, because you're making statements of facts based on your personal opinions, on your personal life, and your life choices and how you were raised.
Okay.
Here's a question.
You get
Um,
a ride home tonight.
Yeah, I was
It'll be a
gonna say,
long
that's
drive.
gonna-
It's
that's
gonna be a
gonna
long drive.
They drove together, so that's gonna be an awkward ride home.
Lucky
Are
me.
there any rights that men have that women don't?
Off the top of my head.
No, you can think about it for a while.
Take your time.
Oh man. In the U.S. though, of course.
In the U.S., yeah.
I mean, I already know the argument for this one if I say it, but it's like
Say it.
the topic
No,
of
say it.
the topic of abortion. I already know like the counter points to that.
Okay. Well,
That's true. Men don't have the right to get abortions.
Exactly. It's
Terrible.
like that's gonna be like.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair for men.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Inequality.
They don't have a say in if you can abort it. That's an argument I've heard.
Okay. Anything besides that?
So men would be oppressed in your example.
Yeah, are you saying men are oppressed?
Well, I said you guys said I can't say that, so yeah.
You can say it.
No, you can say
There's
it.
a case by
You're
case.
you're just wrong, but
I never said anything about
It's
not
okay
being
to say
oppressed
I'm wrong.
outside of the U.S. too.
no.
I think there is oppression in the U.S. as well.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the U.S.
I think, for example, police and women. There's cases where, like, let's say in New York City, and you're gonna play a noise. In I think it was the 1970s. There was a lot of.
Octopus Tetro donated $100. Jojo, I am happy that you can take the side of the unpopular opinion on this podcast. It takes guts and takes knowledge. I'm literally spending $300 to say this now. You're just wrong. Praise Jesus.
Praise the Lord.
You were about to say something about cops in the 1970s.
In the 1970s, women who were prostitutes in the 1970s were getting arrested and thrown in jail, and the pimps, because of being men, were a lot of times not persecuted.
Okay, and gay marriage wasn't legal until 2012. How is that relevant?
You guys want to? I'm just citing general knowledge.
In the
of oppression.
1970s,
now.
in the 1970s, prostitutes
women
were getting
oppressed
rounded up, and
now?
they just were.
Yeah.
They were just a little nice to
Like,
the pimps, huh?
2010 forward. I listen to 2020
wait, so that-
Where they were forced
now.
into sex work by like these men, these pimps, and it was just a general. Again, another. I know you guys love it. Another study that I read about, and it's
What right does a man have in this country that a woman does not?
Today.
How many years ago was 1970, by the way?
Quick.
1970.
How many?
Almost 40 years.
Yeah, just 1970. How many years
50
ago?
years
is it?
ago. Is that what you wanted?
54, but
Yeah.
Oh, I said 70s. I don't know what year.
Okay.
Actually, it's 54. 50-ish.
I mean, truthfully, the only thing that I can think of when we're talking about rights, the only thing I can think of is, and this isn't the case, there's some jurisdictions where this is allowed, but men can go topless. They can,
Oh, that's a good
without a
one.
shirt. It really isn't though, because that's like,
Yeah.
even women don't want to walk around topless. And there's some jurisdictions where you can go topless. But like, is that like,
Oppressive.
look, I'm all for free the titties. Sign me up.
all men are for it. It's the women who don't want to. Like, I personally would never want to do that. I don't feel oppressed by having to dress properly.
Are you sure?